Hey kids, it's Mr. McGill, and I'm here today to talk to you about the state of North Dakota. It's a place where I lived for a couple years, long time ago. To find North Dakota on the map, if you go halfway across the country from the east, or halfway across the country from the west, and then go north to the Canadian border, you'll be in North Dakota. So why am I standing in this field of grass? Well, before European settlers came to North Dakota, it was the eastern portion of the state was covered in thousands of acres of what is called tall grass prairie. Any guess as to why they might have called it that? Their prairie looked just like this grass, except that there wasn't a forest in the background. This is a small patch of tall grass prairie that I planted in my yard when I moved back to Vermont about 20 years ago. Here is a picture of tall grass prairie in North Dakota. It has my father and my wife in the picture. Can you see my wife waving? One of the reasons that there are fewer trees in North Dakota so that the prairie can grow is because of fire. So traditionally, the prairie would burn every few years, and that would keep trees from growing, but the grasses grew back from the roots. So here you have a picture of my daughter and my son helping me to burn my prairie. You can see that they have to be very careful when we do this. Before the European settlers came to North Dakota, it was a land of many native tribes, such as the Hidatsu, the Arikara, the Mandan, and various Sioux tribes, as well as many others. There are still many Native Americans living there, and they are an important part of the community. One of the biggest powwows in North America is held every year in Bismarck, North Dakota. My wife and I went to see it one year. Here is a video of a drum team at the powwow. It is a competition, and the drum teams are judged at how well they do. I would have been a terrible judge because I couldn't tell which teams were good and which ones were not. At the same time as the drum competition, there's a dance competition. The costumes that the dancers wear are fantastic. They are made out of hand by materials that they find in nature, such as porcupine quills, bones, and feathers. I would have been a terrible judge of this, too, because I think they all look great. In the city where I live, Jamestown, there was a white buffalo named White Cloud. The white buffalo is a rare phenomenon. It's considered sacred by Native Americans. White Cloud lived in the shadow of the world's largest buffalo. It was made of 60 tons of concrete. North Dakota has the distinction of being the least visited state in the United States. It's called flyover country because most people just fly over and don't even stop.
Tower radio clearance over. That's Clarence over. Over. Roger. Huh? Roger, over. What? Hey! Who?
Because there are so few visitors, many cities and towns do creative things to try to get people to visit. The world's largest buffalo and the adjacent buffalo herd is the second most visited attraction in the state. Other attractions include the world's largest Holstein cow, the world's largest catfish, the world's largest ring-necked pheasant, the world's largest sandhill crane, the world's largest walleye, the world's largest white prairie gorilla, the world's largest tin man and tin woman,
I could be kinda human if I only had a heart.
the world's largest turtle made of old wheels,
Surely you can't be serious.
the world's largest turtle riding a snowmobile, and the world's largest tower made out of old oil cans.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I don't know if these attractions actually attract very many people, but they give you something interesting to look at when you drive across the prairie. By far the most popular place to visit in North Dakota is Teddy Roosevelt National Park in the western part of North Dakota. It has spectacular badland formations, as you can see here in these pictures. There are also free-roaming buffalo in the park. And prairie dogs. Here is a hike through the short grass prairie of Teddy Roosevelt National Park. And here we are sitting on a petrified tree. That is, a tree that grew here thousands of years ago and then turned to rock. Hi kids, you got me having a snack. North Dakota is the biggest producing state of wheat in the United States. 90% of North Dakota is actually used for farming. It means 9 out of every 10 acres of the state is used to make some sort of agricultural product. Compare that to Vermont, where only 2 out of every 10 acres are used for agriculture. North Dakota is not only the biggest wheat producing state, but they're the biggest producer of flax, canola, sunflowers, dry beans, barley, and honey. They also produce significant quantities of beef, bison, milk, potatoes, sugar beets, soybeans, and corn. I love Serena Williams, not from North Dakota. If you know who is from North Dakota, Phil Jackson. I'm sure Mr. Young knows who Phil Jackson is. So here in Meherins, I'm going to go in, see if I can find some of these North Dakota products right here in Waitsfield. Okay, let's see what we got. Got corn, got oats, got sugar, got pasta, that's made out of wheat, barley in the beer, soy sauce, sesame seeds, honey, beans, got some beef, canola oil, milk, potatoes. Wasn't able to find any flax. So flax is mostly used to make bed sheets out of. So they didn't have bed sheets at Meherins. I looked around. And bison, sometimes you can find bison, sometimes you can't in Vermont. It was really popular in North Dakota. In fact, every little diner had bison burgers on the menu, the same way every diner in Vermont has maple syrup. But I wasn't able to find any bison today, and Meherins didn't have any bed sheets. So other than that, we've done pretty well. Well, that's it about North Dakota. It's a beautiful state. I hope someday you get to visit for real. But until then, we'll see you at some time when I get back in the classroom. Thanks for listening.